Welcome to episode 3 of Searching for MacGuffin with your host, George,
Gabe,
and Link.
We've been exploring the different list top 5s for each of your hosts, the ones that we see as our favorites, and today's topic is anime.
I am so excited about this list because I really enjoy watching anime. I got into it when I was in college because I just didn't want to hang out with people, so I just started watching anime. And the cool thing is that I was able to do it with my roommate, my best friend, so it was just fun having. It was a beautiful bonding moment, and I really enjoy it. So I'm excited about anime. I try to watch as much as possible, but there's times during the year where I can't because of work. However, during the summer, I like to dub my summers the summer of anime. I got this idea from Seinfeld, Summer of George. So I do the summer of anime, and that's when I just watch a whole bunch of anime. As much anime as possible. And I think last year, in my summer of anime, I probably watched like 6 or 7 animes. That might be, for some people, that might be kind of low. For some, that might be a lot. But that's how much I was able to do during the span of 2 months, and I really enjoyed it. In my list of animes, the one I want to start with, the one that sparks joy, is this anime called Mob Psycho 100. It's so fun. If you've never seen it, I totally recommend it. It's a combination of One Punch Man and My Hero Academia. And I love the humor in One Punch Man, and I just love the awesomeness of My Hero Academia. So this kind of combines it because it's this kid that's exactly like Saitama, like very OP, but doesn't care about life. And he's in high school, and he's navigating life, and it's just so much fun. I just love it. It's comedy. I love comedy. So the fact that it's hilarious, it's so great. So I recommend it. If you've never watched Mob Psycho 100, super short, only 2 seasons and a movie. So I recommend it.
All right, so I haven't seen this. I haven't seen a lot of the newer anime. What exactly is it about? What's your pitch? I know you said it's a comedy, but like Mob Psycho, why?
Mob Psycho.
Yeah, like what's the plot basically?
It's okay. So the plot is about this student, right? He is a psychic or an esper, but he's super powerful. Except he doesn't know it. He's just really powerful, but he's a very humble guy, super humble, kind of like Deku, but more humble. But because he's so humble, he doesn't really care about things. Here's where you see the Saitama part of it. But anyway, so he is a high school student, he's a high school student who has the ability to talk to the metaphysical, I guess. He's an esper, right? So his mentor is this guy. He's pretty much a con man. Who owns his business of like exorcising demons and stuff, right? But he's a con man, like that's all he is. But he abuses his relationship with this child who he met, thinking, oh, I'm your mentor, so you're gonna help me out.
Right.
And it's just the dynamic between both of them. One's of them very shy, very timid. The other one's like, hey, I need to make money. I'm gonna use it as much as possible. I'm all super charismatic, and it's hilarious. And there's also moments where the mentor really cares about the student, and it's like, oh, he's not just conning him. He actually does care about him. So that's one of the reasons why I love it.
All right.
So with my journey for anime, I started off when I was very young, growing up in the household that I did. Family members are rarely into it. George can attest to this. We watched all different types of anime, and one of the ones I saw when I was a bit younger was Full Metal Alchemist. Now, this one is probably one of the first ones where like I began watching kind of on my own. I kind of stumbled upon it. It follows the story of these 2 brothers, Edward and Alphonse, and they are basically in a industrial revolution, steampunk type of world, and they practice alchemy, which kind of gives them like powers and things like that, and the different sciences to that. And it's the story of 2 brothers in search of this mythical, magical stone called the Philosopher's Stone, and they try to get to the stone to restore their bodies because they were trying to revive their mother. Now, along the way, there's a lot of crazy twists and turns. I personally like the animation, but this one hits a little home just because this is one of the first ones that I kind of sought out on my own.
I also have Full Metal Alchemist on my list. I love that anime.
Yeah.
So it's so much fun. my boy Roy Mustang, the fire,
Yeah.
the fire alchemist. He's so cool, and you know, R.I.P. I'm blanking on his name. The guy that dies. Hughes. Hughes.
No, oh man.
That's like, you had years. That's on you, bro. That's on you, bro.
Well, yeah, I was about to get to that. The point is like Full Metal Alchemist is like must watch, and I haven't seen it, which kind of brings me to my point. I'm a classic anime fan, if even that. I mean, I grew up with a lot of it, you know, and it was actually your dad, Gabe, who introduced me to it. But I was a big film guy. We didn't really have access at that time to a lot of shows coming over because they would like.
We had Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, and then they would like, you would go to like the anime store and they would sell you like 3 episodes on a tape for like $20.
Yeah.
So it was impossible. It was impossible to follow. So I'm a big anime film guy, and I try to watch. You know, I watch a lot of film in general. So I try to watch the big ones that come out. But there's a lot of anime nowadays, which honestly, like, people are blessed. There is a lot.
In the world we live in today.
Yeah, there's a lot of anime.
So it's, be alive.
Yeah, it's really hard for me to keep up. I actually sponsored an anime club in my last high school. Yeah. So they introduced me to a lot of new stuff. And they're like, you got to watch this. You got to watch this. And I would watch some of it with them. We'd start, like, every series, you know, together. Like you mentioned, like, One Punch Man, etc. But for me, it's mostly movies. But the first series that I do have, though, I probably on your list, it's Cowboy Bebop. Is it on your list?
Yes, that's on my list.
Okay.
I know there's no hierarchy to this, but to me, it's like the best anime.
Yeah,
that's my favorite.
And I love it because it's everything that I love about just storytelling, like genre. It's space. It's cowboys. It's jazz. Yeah, it's jazz. Yeah, and
Ryan Gosling.
And my favorite part is that it's short. That's my favorite part because that's the problem with like people are always like watch Bleach or Naruto, and I'm like
watch One Piece.
Yeah, and I'm like I don't have time for
700 episodes.
Exactly. So like Cowboy Bebop is a series that I've seen over and over again. I think for me it is almost flawless. If anyone hasn't seen it, they should see it. If you're a fan of anime, you must have seen it.
And Netflix is making a show out of it.
That's right.
Live action, yeah.
It's coming out this fall. I'm super excited about that.
How do we feel about that? Yeah, we're excited.
Oh, you know, I'm excited.
Trepidatious.
Yeah, well, like
I'm cautious, but I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah. Okay.
Will I be disappointed? Maybe, but I'm excited.
Yeah. So hopefully it's good. But yeah, Cowboy Bebop. That's
on your list.
Yeah, that's mine.
It's also on my list. Yeah.
Yeah, that's on my list. Okay. So I pretty much gave 3 out of my list.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Burning through your list.
So the other one I have on my list, and I think Gabriel has it on his list as well, knowing him, is Attack on Titan. Is that on your list?
No.
Okay, cool. Then is that on your list, Joe?
It isn't, actually.
Perfect, so I get to talk about it. I love Attack on Titan. I read the manga. Kind of disappointed with the way it is, but... but I love Attack on Titan. This is probably the anime that got me back into anime. I watched anime when I was young, but then I took a long break. And I remember just watching it in college with my roommate, and we just loved it. It was so much fun. We would run around like pretending we had OD that gear on us and flying around, and it's just so much fun. And I remember when I ended up becoming a dean at a boarding school, I showed my students, some of the boys in the dorm, Attack on Titan, and they loved it. They loved it to the point where we bought like matching capes, like so we would run around in the dorm like shouting like
Scout Regiment.
The Scout Regiment, yeah, exactly. The Wings of Freedom. So it was so much fun. I just have a lot of good memories of Attack on Titan. I love the characters. Mikasa, like, bro, that's it. It's like one of the most badass characters I've ever met in my life. Mikasa and Levi. I'm naming my children after them. Levi and Mikasa Ackerman.
Good luck.
Yeah, I hope I get a cool wife that lets me name my 2 kids that.
Did your kids know about this? Like, did they watch anime before? Or?
Some of them did, some of them didn't. So when I was on duty, like I just be like, all right.
And you beat them to Attack on Titan?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because they were in, freshman in high school.
Mm-hmm.
I was
Pretty
already
busy,
yeah.
yeah.
They were like, that's around the age where they started to get more popular, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, you have more of a social outing, so you're
yeah. So I'm
with
like,
your
oh,
friends
okay,
and-
I've already watched this. Watch this with me. And it's just a bond. Like I really bonded with my kids just watching Attack on Titan with them. And this is, I love it. I love it.
Oh yeah. I thought about putting it on my list, especially because of the modern era. It's the one thing that like my kids showed to me, and I was like, yes, okay. But I've kind of had like an up and down where I'm like, this season's amazing. Well, this season's dragging a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that.
So I was like, I'm a little behind too. I'm not caught up to date. So I was like, maybe I don't love it, but it is really good. Like I like it.
No, yeah, I agree with you. Season 1 is great. Season 2, season 3, okay, picked up. Season 4. It's season 4. It's not done yet, so
The
You're gonna reserve judgment.
yeah, but I love season 3. Oh, season 3 is so good. Levi, Chef's Kiss, season 3. Oof. So yeah, so Attack on Titan is on my list.
So before moving on to one of my lists, I kind of want to say a few words on that. On Attack on Titan. Attack on Titan definitely...
Eren Yeager.
Eren Yeager. I definitely agree. Kind of revitalized my interest in anime. And it was very close to being on my list, but I felt like I had to like balance it out for what I felt personally. But for Attack on Titan, for those of you who hadn't seen it, first couple episodes, it didn't really get me.
Grab my attention.
I was like, what's going on? It was very overhyped for me, and I was hearing everybody talk about it, and I was a bit skeptical, of course, but I was giving it a chance. And the first couple episodes, I was like, and then there's things that happen towards the beginning, and after that, it doesn't stop, and it's a fun ride. There are some points where it drops off a little bit, but things pick up. So for me, that's very high up there. It just didn't make my list. But going on to what did make my list, next what I had was Demon Slayer. Now Demon Slayer was is really just something that came out of left field for me. Like I said before, Attack on Titan kind of brought me back into anime, but I also had a lot of recommendations and seeing a lot of praise for Demon Slayer. And at first I was like, oh, the title, like I don't know if I'm going to be into that. It was something that's like I wasn't in a rush to check out. Then one day I was just on Netflix and it kind of just popped up on my list, and I passed by and I was like, you know what, I got some time, let's check it out. And unlike Attack took a couple of episodes for me to get into it.
This starts off
straight off the bat,
yes.
Demon Slayer got me hooked.
Ooh.
By the first episode, I was like, I'm watching this. I don't care how long it's going to take me. After that, I binged it, and I binged the whole first season in about a day or two. And fortunately for me, I felt fortunate at least, the Demon Slayer Mugen Train film was out in theaters. And I was already just like, you know what? I'm gone. I'm there. And it kind of brought me back to theaters, which is a whole different topic. But the film, for me, established one of my favorite characters in a lot of different mediums. But yeah, Demon Slayer I sing the praises of Demon Slayer.
Yeah.
And what I love about it, too, is that you took me to watch the movie with you for my birthday. And that's one of the things I love about anime. It's like I'm able to connect with people, and I connected with you because it was that night was special.
I agree.
Watching it with you.
Man, I didn't get an invite. That's
what you get.
That's one way to treat people. Well, I keep hearing this. People keep saying Demon Slayer, and it's like you said, the title is like, I don't know. And also like, as a married man, that's going to be a tough sell, you know? Hey, you want to watch Demon Slayer? I don't know if she's going to, but I guess I'm going to have to put that on because it keeps coming up. Everybody keeps telling me.
I mean, the most simple thing I think I can try and persuade you with is, for me, it's more of like samurai versus vampires, kind of.
Uh-huh.
That's the feel that I get for it. Obviously, they have their specifications.
With Michael Jackson as a villain.
Okay.
With Michael Jackson as a villain.
How's that not
he's
grab your
a
attention?
great villain.
Michael Jackson as a villain.
But aside from the beautiful animation that the story has, the story about the family that's in it it drags you in and it keeps you in, and just the people that you meet along the way, the journey that you go through. For me, it's up there for me. It's fantastic.
That's great. Can't wait for season 2.
Yeah.
Oh, it's only season 1, so I can catch up.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you said family because family's at the core of my next title, which I mentioned that I'm not really big on watching these long series, but I think part of it is probably because when I was young, I devoted my life to one singular series and watching it over and over again, and that was Dragon Ball Z.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like foundational to me, and I'm always impressed because I'm just like, I feel like an old fogey, like, oh, I love Dragon Ball Z. But even to this day, like, I see my kids coming up in high school, and like, so many of them are like still Dragon Vegeta.
Yeah.
They're still arguing whether Vegeta and Goku are like, who's the strongest, which also is kind of like a dumb argument because I feel like the show clearly. Like, yeah. But either way, it's like, it's still so relevant, and
it holds up. It definitely holds up to this day.
Yeah, and it's and so much of like the archetypes and even the tropes of anime like are on full display in Dragon Ball Z. I grew up watching Dragon Ball.
Oh, I love Dragon Ball.
No,
Dragon
Ball, yeah.
I prefer Dragon Ball over Dragon Ball Z just because it's more adorable.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you 100%. So I put Dragon Ball Z because that's like the more serious, the more like action oriented. But it's true. If I look into like my mind's eye,
where does it come from?
In my deep hearts, it's Dragon Ball. Because this is what happened when I was growing up. Dragon Ball was like 12 or 13 episodes, right? And they would just play those same 13 episodes. And for years, I thought that was the whole series. And then I went and I watched it over and over again because they would just rerun in Syndicate. That the first
12 episodes.
The Emperor Pilaf. Yeah, just those first 13 episodes over and over and over again. Then I went on a trip to Mexico, and there was a bunch of crazy stuff happening on their TV because they got like 3 channels and one of them plays nothing but Dragon Ball, and it was just like Emperor like. The Red Army and Piccolo, and I'm like, what is happening? When did this? Where is this going? Yeah. But actually, remembering it now in order, that happened after one day. I used to wake up, and this was back in the day before we had like a way to record or anything. I used to wake up at like 5 a.m. on Sunday because that's when they used to give Fantastic Four and the Incredible Hulk TV shows, the ones that are like on Disney Plus now, right? And I used to wake up to watch them like super early Sunday morning. And then one day it wasn't on. And I was heartbroken. I was like, where are my superheroes? But it was episode 1 of Dragon Ball Z. And I was like, what is this? Why is Goku an adult? Yeah. And remember, I only had the first 13 episodes. So I was like, oh my goodness, they made a sequel series to Dragon Ball. And they like, to fast forwarded, like he's an adult now and he has a son that looks just like him. And it just blew my mind. Then I find out, there's a bunch of years of stuff that we hadn't seen.
Yeah.
So I started, when I said, it used to be 3 episodes for a $20 tape. I did it. I paid them. I was buying like arcs of Dragon Ball. Then I had the International Film Channel that would play Dragon Ball Z without subtitles. And I was watching like Cell Saga. And like, this is amazing. I don't know what's going on, but this is incredible. I'm crying. All the sacrifices and deaths that are going on. And to me, it was just seeing those characters grow up. In real time almost, growing up with you and kind of seeing yourself reflected in those characters and my favorite film is Broly, the legendary Super Saiyan.
Yeah, of course.
That's the one. And now that they have these other movies in theaters, I went to the theater on day 1 and saw, Resurrection F, Battle of the Gods and the remake of Broly. It's terrific.
And now you're partially fluent in Japanese, aren't you?
Yeah, sure.
So, I only have one more anime on my list.
Okay.
And you guys probably have a little bit more, right? How many do you have, Gabe, left on your list?
2.
What about you?
I got 3.
3? All right, so I'm just going to give you, what's that called when they don't make the list? But honorable mentions.
Okay.
All right. Number 1 honorable mention for me. I like cute stuff, and that's why I prefer Dragon Ball over Dragon Ball Z,
for sure.
Right? I can also do some of the gruesome stuff, you get me? Demon Slayer and all that stuff, and Attack on Titan. But one of my favorite animes that I discovered randomly is called Laid Back Camp. And it's about these 5 Japanese girls in high school who are part of a camping club in their school. And that's it.
I don't know why, but the premise sounds suspicious.
When you were starting off, I don't know, I was a little shaky there.
It's there's nothing, like, it's just so adorable about these girls who want to learn how to camp, right?
Okay.
And them going camping and them cooking. And you know how when you watch anime, the food always looks amazing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that I should love it. It's so good. If you never, I've recommended. It's one season so far that I know of. I'm not sure. I also watched this with some of my students when we had nothing else to do, and we just thought it was adorable. So yeah, Laid Back Camp is an honorable mention for me.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll share mine since I have the most left on my list. When I was thinking about Studio Ghibli, I was like, okay, I have to have at least one movie to represent, and I'm pretty sure I know that at least Link is very in tune with Studio Ghibli, and I'm sure that we're gonna be talking about all their films at some point. But if I have to represent Studio Ghibli with one film, I thought, well, which the one? And I think the one that brought me to them is probably the one that's like least like the other ones. That's Princess Mononoke. Princess Mononoke is in just like a masterpiece film. And it almost hurt me to choose it because it was like, oh, but I like all these others for completely different reasons. But for me, when Mononoke came over here to the U.S., that was like, okay, they're taking anime seriously. Like, all-star cast, nominating it for
Christian
awards.
Bale.
You know what I mean? I believe it was produced by Miramax. No, it wasn't. It was, I think they had...
Howl's Moving Castle's Christian Bale?
Billy Bob Thornton is in...
Billabong.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and there's a whole, I mean, Minnie Driver, who's Mononoke? Is like, was it Claire Danes?
I thought it was Claire Danes.
Yeah, Claire Danes, yeah. So, I mean, but it's just also like, it's unlike the other ones because it's so, I don't know, lack of a better word, edgy, sharp, dramatic, mature, you know what I mean? Like, it gets crazy, but it's so good. Like,
I love that movie,
yeah, the iconography of it. And like, I mean, if we're talking about honorable mentions, it's like probably like 15 other Studio Ghibli movies like are following right behind it. But yeah, Princess Mononoke.
An honorable mention for me, I think it would have to be Mobile Suit Gundam Wing. Mobile Suit Gundam Wing, I'm not going to lie, what got me was the toys. The toys, I was surrounded by the figurines, like just the way that they were made. I had the tiny ones, the huge ones. It was something that I was like, man, where did these toys come from? They were obviously like my uncle's and my dad's. And then one day I saw it on the TV and I'm like, that's the toy. Why it's on the screen? And so I started watching it. Was I understanding it even? No. But when I started to obviously going back to looking for anime for myself, trying to be more independent and thinking for myself, I found myself back with Mobile Suit Gundam Wing, and I thought it was fantastic. And it was just me turning into a little kid, playing with the toys, watching the show, and that for me, it's things like that that just make it personal. A lot of things like from your childhood that you learn to appreciate when you're older.
Yeah.
Right.
And so one of those that did make my list was Akira, the movie Akira. That was another one where I was very young when I first saw it, and again, I didn't really catch much of it. I just saw this guy riding on a red motorcycle with like the fading lights and the city of Neo Tokyo, like after the war and stuff like that. And to me, it captivated me visually. I couldn't really understand with the content, but speaking just from a visual aspect, it was very captivating. And I actually had a rewatch the other day, and I was like, man, yeah, this movie's fantastic. Just the different story, the different elements and themes of the film, and kind of like it opened like a door for me to see how people were living like that after the war, the type of life that they had to go to, especially with the children that didn't have homes anymore and things like that. So for me, it's a classic. I'm sure it'll be on many people's lists. But yeah, that's kind of where I sit with that one.
Yeah, it has that iconic scene of him like drifting in the with
Yeah.
the motorcycle. Where a lot of people, like a lot of that scene has inspired. It's been inspired by so many people. Like I remember they did it in Batman the Animated Series with Robin, and it's just everywhere you go, you'll see a similar scene like that.
Paying homage to it.
Paying homage to it. I think they even do it in The Simpsons. So yeah, going back to what you said about Mobile Suit Gundam and the toys, I remember when I was a dean, there was this international student, and every time I had to do room check, I would go to his room, and he had all these toys. So I assumed, man, this guy must love Gundam. I gotta ask him if he really enjoys.
Yeah.
What? Because there's so many like Gundam stories. So I gotta ask, because I don't even know where to start off. So I gotta ask him which one. I wanted to get into it. I'm like, where do I start off and all that stuff?
Right.
So I remember one day I go to his room and I'm like, Ian, you like Gundam? How do I start off? He's like, what? I don't know. I'm like, what do you mean? You don't watch Gundam? No, I don't even know what that is. And I'm like, Ian, it's these toys that you're building, these models. And I just thought it was so amazing how the toys captivated him without him even realizing that there is an anime. Yeah, where it's from. So yeah, the toys are so cool.
Yeah, I think you have those experiences. Like Transformers is like that.
Yeah.
Like, you think back, man, I love Transformers, and if you ever go back and watch Transformers, like, did I love Transformers? Did I love toys? I had like Exo Squad, which I couldn't even remember anything about the show, but I had there was a like Robotech. I don't remember anything about any of these shows, but I remember the toys for sure. You mentioned Akira, and Akira is an honorable mention for me.
Yeah,
because I thought about it too, and I was like, that's probably the first, if I'm not mistaken, it's probably the first anime movie I ever saw. And it blew my mind because I hadn't seen anything like it. But the one thing I'll always remember as a kid was that I didn't understand anything that happened in it. And then I saw it again with my wife when we were dating in college. And I remember I still didn't really understand what was
I watched it when I was in college. I'm like, I didn't know.
Yeah. So it's like maybe I have to watch it again as an adult. But because of that, I was like, man, this movie is so iconic for me. And it started this whole path. But I'm not really sure I understand it enough to like it.
Same,
you know what I mean? So I don't even know, do I like it? Or do I just love what it did for me, you know?
At the time, the impression it left.
Yeah. So what did make my list is a similar title. And I thought about this title a lot because I was like, is this just rose-colored glasses? Is it nostalgia? Does this deserve to be on a list? But it's Vampire Hunter D.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
And Vampire Hunter D was probably the second anime movie that I ever saw. And it was like Akira, I had it on a tape. My brother got it for me. But Vampire Hunter D, Cartoon Network played it at Saturday night. Really late at night, like 10 or 11. And it was like a big deal.
You mean Toonami?
I believe it was like the start of what would be Toonami, but it predates Toonami. I think the name was like Saturday Night Japanime. And they had that, and
so clever. So clever.
Yeah. And it was that and a couple of other movies. I don't remember any of the other movies, but I remember the first one, which was Vampire Hunter D. And I was like, this is a movie, and it is an anime, and it is about vampires, and it kicks butt. And it's like looking back at it, I'm not even really sure how animated the villain is for most of the. I know I remember him in that stance for half the movie, but it was just, it drew me into this fantasy world that at that time I had never seen anything like it, and it kickstarted a love for things like Castlevania and basically all of that fantasy lore, that's where it goes back to Vampire 2D, and the sequel Bloodlust it's a beautiful movie. It's very good. Arguably it's a better movie than the 80s movie. But the 80s movie.
Yeah, but then you get into the argument.
Yeah.
This one.
Exactly. And it drove me on a path where they started releasing later on in my life the original novels that the films are based off, and I just started buying them and reading them. I was like, I'm Vampire Hunter D all the way. So yeah, Vampire Hunter D.
That's a good one. Underrated as well. I don't think many people know about. I mean, personally, I haven't met many people that actually know about Vampire Hunter D. Other than us, because we're family and you own it, and I watch it with you.
It creeped me out as a kid. I remember one of my uncles watching it, your brother Jonathan. I remember when watching it, I'm just like, this seems terrifying.
It really does.
But I remember all of you would always be like, it's so good, it's so good. So again, that's another one. Like, I guess coming from my age, from my age group, being young and having you guys kind of going through that when you're trying to finding stuff out for yourself, it kind of like came down to me. It kind of befell me, and I was looking for those things on my own. Eventually, when I got to that age, and I think it's so cool how anime, in a sense, and other types of medium as well, kind of transcends time. Like, everyone goes through their own journey, and that's something I really enjoy about it. And to round off my list, it's another pretty recent anime. It's My Hero Academia.
Yeah.
And this is the one that a lot of my friends the people that were trying to get me into anime, were trying to sell me on. They were gung-ho about this. It's like superheroes in anime form, and it's just amazing. And I remember I put it off for such a long time. I really wasn't interested. And so after I finished binging Demon Slayer, I was like, you know what? Let's give it a shot. Like, these people have been giving me great recommendations. Let's see what else we got. And I went to My Hero Academia, and starting it off, that's another one that I was just like, this is great. This is fantastic. And going through the different seasons, the show is just, for me, it's this is why it makes my list. It's just the themes and the heroics, the bravery that comes with the hero tales and all and such like that. But it also has the innocence of a kid starting high school. It's like a freshman starting high school, and
so relatable.
Exactly. And not to like spoil anything for those who haven't seen it, which I definitely recommend you do.
Me.
Yeah, you.
The main character dies. Sorry, spoiled it for
I don't even know if I should take that serious or not. Okay.
So, with what happens, like, the main character is just this kid. He's basically coming into high school, new experiences, and he's just one of those characters that's pure of heart. Like, he's one of those kids that you just can't help rooting for. And he embarks on a journey to become the ultimate hero and things like that. And the friends and the lessons he learns along the way are just incredible to watch. And so once you start watching it, you kind of just get thrown into this world, this story where heroes are normalized. That's like a job, basically. It's monetized and things like that. And so for me, it takes the epicness of superheroes, but also the subtle nuances and the little things of high school. And it kind of, for me, it does a very good job of blending them, mixing them together, and pacing it as well. So that rounds about my list for anime.
Since you're talking about My Hero Academia and, about superheroes, because I feel like I have the anti My Hero Academia one next. And in my list, it's One Punch Man. Because it's literally like the same exact thing, right?
Yeah.
Like superheroes, or it's monetized. But this just makes fun of the whole genre. Like the whole genre of anime. Yeah. And I love this one. Like I said, I love comedy, and I love the fact that you can't take this show serious. Yeah. And I remember watching it and I'm thinking, this guy's kind of boring. Like, what's so special about this guy? What's so special about Saitama? But I love the fact that everyone, for some reason, gravitates towards him. Like, he has a disciple that's so much strong, not stronger than him because he's One Punch Man, right? But it's so much like
impressive and spectacle.
Exactly, and he's like,
What was his name?
Who?
The sidekick.
Genos,
yes,
I'm
correct.
terrible when it comes to the names.
I personally, I busted laughing when he finds out Saitama's routine. His workout routine.
100 sit-ups, 100 push-ups.
100 sit-ups, 100 push-ups, and 100 squats.
And 10K. Running 10K.
And running a 10K. And I remember that for me, like, that was like, this show's genius. Like, there was such a simple routine, and the character that, like, asks, like, he finds this out. He's been, like, basically worshiping. He's been pursuing him. He's like, how did you get so strong? I want to be just like you. I want your
secret, yes.
Exactly. He finally hears it, and he goes ballistic. He loses his mind at the fact that he just heard, he's like, he literally says, that's just a basic gym routine. Like, he is losing it. He's flipping out. And Saitama, to my knowledge, as far as I've seen, he hasn't lost a fight.
No, he doesn't, yeah.
And he's so strong, and it's just, for me, it's just the subtle, like, little jokes that they put, the little jabs that they put in here and there. For me, it's just that show makes it's fantastic.
I love it. Yeah, one of my favorite things about the show is that they have, and manga as well, is that they have this group of superheroes called the Tank Topper Army, which is just guys in tank tops. That's it, and they're buff. That's it, like Tank Top Army. Like the leader in charge is called Tank Top Master. That's it, right? And they have this guy who is a hero he's a low level hero. All he does is ride a bike, the Moomin Rider. Like, there's nothing special. They just make fun of the whole genre, and I think it's hilarious. I love it. It's just so good, but there's also a lot of heart in the show.
Yeah,
That's what I love about it. Like, people gravitate towards Saitama because he's non-judgmental. He doesn't care pretty much about anything. He accepts you as you are, and a lot of these people, like Genos, like King, who are regarded as, like, top-level heroes, they should want to go to Saitama. They want to go to this guy that no one really cares about, no one really knows about. And I just think it's so cool how he has a following, and it's just because of his personality. Yeah. And I love the fact that, the guy is searching for that one fight.
Yeah.
And every time it's like, this is a disappointment.
How many episodes in is the routine?
I believe it's 7.
Yeah,
I think it's around there. It's not quite at the beginning. It's not right at the beginning.
No, yeah, because I've seen it. I made it that far. That was a big one when that show came out with my anime club, because that means it's been like 5 years, right? Yeah, that was a big one. So we made it like at least that far, because I've seen that, and you guys are right. It's interesting. You had My Hero, you had One Punch Man. The superhero fatigue is something like My Hero is definitely on my list of to watch, especially because I'm a sucker for the movie structure, because I love the movies. So when you pay off a season in a movie and then you can come back or whatever, I'm not sure exactly how the dynamic is because I haven't seen it, but I definitely want to watch it. But superhero fatigue has been a big thing for me. I love superheroes. I love capes. I love costumes, but there's so much of it out there, and I feel like everyone's recommendation is like Invincible, The Boys, Superman and Lois, Snyder Cut, and I'm like, the 5 Marvel shows on Disney Plus, and I was like, I love them, but man. So my topic here, and I know it's not a topic, but I do think that this movie is one of the best movies ever. Period. It's something a little more realistic, a little more grounded, and that's Grave of the Fireflies.
Oh yeah, that's too depressing.
Yeah, so I know.
I can't watch that. I'm not watching it ever again.
Yeah, Link, you've literally only seen it once, right?
No, twice.
Oh, you've seen it twice? Okay. So,
both times forced by you and my sister.
I watched this movie. I've watched this movie several times, and I've even used it in the classroom. This movie's amazing. This movie is, if people hold up movies like Saving Private Ryan, and for good reason, but this movie is not quite the antithesis to that, but the other perspective of it.
The other side, yeah.
You know what I mean? To see it in the way that like Dunkirk is like the British perspective, which we don't usually get. The Japanese perspective, but specifically in that time period for that event, it's for those of you that aren't aware, Grave of the Fireflies, super famous movie. It's a young boy and his even younger brother as they try to find their way out after the events of Hiroshima and just all of the turmoil that's going on during that time period, and just trying to survive. And it's just so real. It's so real that like I don't even think of it as animation, which is a disservice to animation, because animation is as powerful as any other film medium, but it's just like it's so human.
Yeah.
It's so human, and usually when we think about anime, we think about the kind of things you can't usually do on film. That's why we do it in animation, like there's explosions and flying and the supernatural and all that stuff. But just to tell that kind of a story, it's amazing.
Oh yeah, but I think that's a testament to how great that story is. The fact that you can use this medium where things are outlandish, outrageous, things are exaggerated. And I mean, that's one of the reasons I really enjoy anime. But to flip it on its head a little bit and to see anime from a different perspective, from a different side, especially when it tells a story that this really did happen, in a sense, and you get to feel, in a sense, obviously not to that extent, but you're at least put in their shoes, and you get to see where someone else is coming from, with a kind of different experience, a lived experience that the person had, which I think is, you're right, it's a genius movie. It's beautiful.
I don't like talking about this movie. I can't.
Yeah. Well, it's also like a little window into just what I love about going back to Studio Ghibli is some of my favorite movies. Everyone loves Spirited Away. Everyone loves Howl's Moving Castle, and they're great. But the more real ones, the Wind Rises. Like I love the Wind Rises.
From Poppy Hill.
Up from Poppy Hill.
Ocean Waves is so good too.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
You own it.
No, this summer. It's the summer of anime.
Summer of anime.
I'm gonna
put that in a t-shirt. Summer of anime.
Summer of anime. So, and for all of you at home, we're done with everyone's list, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So, for anyone at home who's looking for something to watch in the summer of anime, I think you got a lot of options.
Yeah.
You got top fives from us. You got some honorable mentions.
I have just a quick question for both of you, actually, and for the listeners at home. Sub or dub?
Okay, so I got you.
Right.
So, sub or dubbed? Sub all the way, right? However, if you're eating, you can't. I can't sub and eat. It's hard. It's really hard. So when I eat, I dub. So there are certain shows that I only watch when I'm eating. Right now, I'm watching Haikyuu. I only watch Haikyuu when I'm eating. So I only because it's dubbed because I can't, like I said, can't read. But there's also some movies that I believe are great dubbed. An example is that all those Studio Ghibli movies. All the Studio Ghibli movies are great dubbed. They have great actors, known actors. You know, Christian Bale. You have the other Batman, Michael Caine and Porco Rosso. You have so many.
Dakota Fanning.
You have Tina Fey. I love my girl Tina Fey. You have a lot of great American actors voicing them.
British and
American. Yeah. Mark
Strong.
So I prefer. I can do both. However, I do understand that, man. Sometimes like you watch some dub and that's terrible. Like. I think I told you, right? Or I watched a small clip of the Demon Slayer movie dubbed, and I'm like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
Wow, this is garbage. How can you do such a disservice to it? But I can do both. I prefer sub, but there's certain situations where I will do dub, food, and when the cast is so great.
Yeah, I think. The correct answer is like, do you read Shakespeare in Spanish? Do you read Cervantes and Garcia Marquez in English? Like, if you can, you read it in the language that it was, that it was written.
Yeah.
That's the right answer. The politically correct answer is it depends, because, like you said, it all depends on the series. For example, I'm big in Dragon Ball Z. That has to be dubbed. If you've ever heard Goku subbed, it's yeah. Yeah, I believe he's voiced by a woman.
Yeah.
And it's just not Goku to me. I'm sorry. And I love, and I grew up with the Funimation cast. So, like, and it's evolved over time, but just has to be. They do a great job. And like you said, Ghibli and certain Cowboy Bebop in English.
That was,
you know what I mean?
That was where I was coming from, yeah.
But then my personal preference, and this is the inappropriate responses that I actually prefer dubbed. If I can, because I prefer dubbed when possible, because so much of what I grew up with was dubbed. We didn't have subtitles, so I just got used to watching it that way. And the kind of stuff that I watch, like I don't watch all these examples of like bad dubs. I don't watch those shows, and maybe I would, but I usually don't get around to it until I watch something like a Studio Ghibli or like a Dragon Ball. So I'm used to dub because I also do watch in the background a lot. But subtitles is the right choice. The real answer is it depends.
Personal preference.
But my personal preference is dub. Yeah. which I know is the wrong answer.
No, I mean that's the thing. I asked that question just because I find it interesting. I mean, I have my preference. I choose to watch sub, but that is now, because when I was younger, I watched everything dub.
Right.
Cowboy Bebop, probably
Yeah,
one of my
I-
favorite
I-
animes of all time. I was trying to remember. I was like, I never watched it sub. It was always dubbed.
Yeah.
And that's like Spike's voice, Jet's voice, like that. I always know what they sound like
Yeah.
in English.
Mhm.
Like I think I might go back and try and like see what it's like in sub just to see like what the experience is like. But I just think it's very interesting because like I grew up like watching a dub even with up to like Full Metal Alchemist, and this like kind of renaissance that I've had with like anime in my life. It's all just been sub. I try to I'm like, let me give it a shot, and I can't do it. I personally can't. It's just small things like with the performances, with the animation, and like it's syncing like with the voice performances, just the exaggeration and the tones. It's just, for me, sub is like the complete package.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Before we leave, to help everyone start their summer of anime, let's all recommend one anime show or movie for our listeners. I'll start. I recommend Mob Psycho 100. I love it. It's one of my favorite. It's by the same guy who does One Punch Man. That's why there's a lot of similarities there, a lot of similar sense of humor. So if you can, check out One Punch Man. Check out Mob Psycho 100.
For me, I would recommend Demon Slayer. You're only one season in. You have a movie that's in the theaters if you want to go watch it, or you could purchase it online through any retailers through there. I think that Demon Slayer is a great choice, mainly just because it picks up really quick, the action, but also the heart of the story. You get to see kind of like where you're going, but also you don't know what to expect.
Well, since you put me on the spot here and have to come up with something, if you have AT&T, or if you're uncle or cousin, because I know this is how people watch HBO Max, if you have HBO Max, you have no idea how much of a treasure trove of anime it is. Watch all the Ghibli movies, because I talk to a lot of these like younger kids, and they watch anime shows like crazy, and they have not seen these films.
Oh, yeah.
So if you haven't seen them, watch all of them, all 20 whatever of them. I believe there's like 21 now at this point.
Yeah.
But watch all of them. I haven't seen them all. I will be watching them all.
Even the new one.
Yeah, because they were so hard to get a hold of before.
Yeah.
You know, they were never streaming anywhere. You couldn't rent or buy them on Amazon or Vudu or iTunes or any of those places. You had to physically buy them, and there was a problem with distribution. Like Disney had them, and then GK Kids did, and then some of them were not, and some of them were with Miramax. They're all there on HBO Max. Watch them, and then watch Grave of the Fireflies if you haven't as well. All right, so on that note, you guys got a lot of homework to do, and we'll be right back next week as we take a look at TV shows. That'll be our next episode. So till then, keep on searching.
Eren Yeager.